Shelley Sturry. I'm going to talk to you about, the life of a nursing student. And Natalie covered a lot of things about what we had to go through, and I'm just going to give my side of what I went through. Since we started this journey 2 years ago, we've experienced so many different things. So many emotions have been experienced: happiness, sadness, anxiety, frustration, hopelessness, and excitement. I didn't have any idea what this experience was going to be like. It's made me grow in so many different ways. We were told to expect challenges. We were told to say goodbye to our families. We were told that half of our class would probably be gone by the time we graduated. Fear, anxiety, and tears were always present on the first day of every semester, every clinical day, wondering how we were going to get through all of the work and assignments. I mean, 8 to 12 chapters of med-surg reading in a week. How does a person accomplish that? Let alone do the blueprints and actually learn all of the material? Well, we did. We did that, and we learned a lot more than we probably even realized. Remember the first day of nursing home clinical, not knowing what to expect, not knowing how to talk to these residents who were at least 3 times my age, and having to discuss very personal information with them? How did we do that? We had to step out of our comfort zone and learn to adapt to so many different situations. Think back to the mental health at rotations, at regions. I know that this put a lot of us in situations that we may not have been comfortable with. The first day of hospital clinical third semester. It was so exciting to be able to actually put some of the skills that we had learned to use. We had to drive to the clinical sites the night before, collect our information on our patients, write up all the medications for our patients, start the mini mind maps or mini care plans. Do you remember the first time we looked at those mind map examples that Ginny passed out? I thought she was crazy when she handed those out to us. I didn't think it was possible to get all of that stuff done. I remember some students telling me that Christine had used the analogy of having to eat a whole elephant. Well, the only way to eat that elephant is one bite at a time. And we finally finished that elephant. It's crazy to look back and see all of the things we've accomplished in these 2 years. I think that everyone in this room knows about the magic number 80. 80% was our goal from the beginning. You wouldn't think that 80% is very hard to achieve, but you could never imagine what our exams were like. I remember that in third semester, I received a 62% on my first exam. 62%. I had to bring that 62% up to an 80. I went home and I cried for 3 hours. With the support of my family, my classmates, and God, I was able to do it. It was incredibly stressful, but I ultimately learned a lot from falling flat on my face that semester. I've learned so much about myself and what I can accomplish, and I know this is true for all of my classmates. We all have slightly different stories, but ultimately we've lived the same lives for the past 2 years. We've had messy houses, books spread all across the kitchen table, living room and floor. Some people had nests in their beds. Natalie. Homemade meals were only done on occasion or only breaks. I was lucky enough not to have to work throughout all of this journey, but I have some amazing classmates who continued to work all the way to the end. We had children who missed us and put up with not having mom or dad around all the time, husbands and wives who dealt with the stresses of our schooling as well. For me, and I believe every one of my classmates, we needed the support of our families. Every semester when I was completely overwhelmed and crying at the first day of every clinical, my family was there, My family was there to support me, encouraging me, and telling me, sorry, didn't realize this was going to happen. Now I lost my spot. They were encouraging me and telling me it was possible and helping me believe that I could continue and go on. The stress that I was feeling was at times probably a lot more than I even realized. Was probably taken out of my family, sorry guys, but they were always there supporting me and encouraging me, and I truly thank them for their support. The instructors, they were always open and honest, but also incredibly supportive. Throughout these last 2 years, even at times in class where we just didn't understand why that answer was so tricky, they were there to explain it to us, or at least bring it up to faculty to try and help us get an extra point. I still wonder why it took 3 to 4 days to scan a Scantron sheet, But thankfully, I don't have to worry about any of that anymore. We made it, and on behalf of the rest of my class, I want to thank our instructors, our families, and God for helping us get through these difficult 2 years. We made it and couldn't have done it without you. Now, living with the nursing student.
Now the rest of the story. When I was a boy, about 10 years old or so, my parents sat us down one day and said, "Your mom's going back to school. Well, this is going to mean some changes around the house. She'd have more time for homework, study, in order to earn her accounting." And just a few short years later, we were already going to her graduation at St. Thomas. She did it. No, it wasn't so bad. Well, many moons and 3 kids later, I suddenly found myself in a very similar position. Only this time, we would be informing our children that life around the sweet house would change a little for a few years so that Mom could finally pursue her passion in one of the most noble professions one could learn, nursing. Now, I know I'm getting older. I actually expect to start seeing a little gray any day now. But I don't remember it being anything like this. I won't stand up here and try to tell anyone I had it worse than you, or you don't know what it's like. I'm not always proud of the way I handled myself at times. But in the beginning, that light at the end of the tunnel that everyone likes to refer to, it's a long ways away. It starts out a tiny little speck, barely visible with the naked eye. But I have to say, today it's looking pretty darn bright. And after all is said and done, you know, that wasn't so bad. But please don't go back. Not yet. This is something I wrote to all the graduates. We are your father, your mother, your sisters and brothers, your husband or wife or significant others. We can even be your children. We live with you every day, through the ups and the downs, the scurries, the hurries, and the everyday worries. We encourage you, we push you, and sometimes we bother you at the worst times. But most of all, we want you to succeed. And though your emotional roller coaster has higher peaks and lower valleys, we are right there with you. And at the end of the day, we still love you.
I made it through it.
I'm going to ask the graduates to please come up and have a seat. Yeah, bring your camera.